Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Enlighten Up. As you can see, I'm flying solo today, as I mentioned in my latest video about the Aurora Borealis, which I'm going to talk about just a little bit in this episode, but I have some information I'd like to share with you, and part of it, I don't even know what's going to be coming out, because I was told that I'll get downloaded the more information as I share it with you, which, you know, is cool, but also it's like, well, I don't know what's coming. So, there's been, how do I say this? 2 nights before my birthday, I got downloaded through 2 different dreams. One dream one night, another dream another night, with all of this information. And the downloads that were coming through were so intense and fast that it woke me up, which I'm glad it did, because I needed to record a bunch of this stuff. There's just no way I would have been able to retain or remember everything. I mean, I know it's there within me, but it's always helpful to, you know, mix and match the different kinds of states of consciousness and awakened levels, so that I can utilize this reality to bring in that reality. And interestingly enough, it's tied to an experience I had on mushrooms about 6 months ago during the solar eclipse in Libra, the middle of October last year. Now, during that mushroom journey, for those of you who may not remember, which I'm assuming most of you probably don't remember, because I can't even remember how much detail I went into, but this was the first time I was able to, with my eyes open, see the entire field around me. I saw all of the information in the field. I saw all these ancient symbols and glyphs and energy moving towards me. I saw the way the dimensions shifted so that other information could come through. And as I was just staring into my room, looking literally at the air, but seeing all of this stuff that most of us don't really see on a day-to-day level, I saw this, okay. Now, as I even say this, I saw this circle, okay? And in a way, it looked like, you know, on a safe, there's like a wheel and you can spin it, kind of like the wheel on a ship to steer the ship. It was kind of like that. And I saw it turning, and as I was watching, I started getting these messages from a voice that was telling me that I had opened a portal to some ancient information that is held within a vault from Atlantean times. And I, of course, just, you know, I don't understand exactly what's going on. And so I'm like, okay. And I kind of started receiving all of this information as it was turning. And I saw all this information like coming at me in the field. Like it's almost like it was merging into my field. And they asked me if I would like to share the information held within this vault. And I said, sure, I'll share it. And they said, okay, the information isn't going to come to you just yet. It's going to come to you in your dreams, and you'll know when it comes to you. Well, fast forward to now, I have not received any dreams that would pertain to this until 2 nights before my birthday. And so I want to share with you guys on this special episode, kind of what came through. And I feel like this is tied to the aurora borealis that has just, graced our entire planet with its magnificence in ways that are not usually seen. I don't know if any of you were able to catch the aurora borealis, depending on where you live in the world. But it was magnificent. I posted pictures on my Instagram. Also, I posted them in my YouTube community. So if you have a phone and you scroll through your phone, which I know most of you do, you would have seen them yesterday. So before I kind of get into this, okay, because what I understand is the information I'm being shared with is it has something to do with what's called the Wheel of Time. Now, interestingly enough, I'm reading the books, The Wheel of Time. I'm reading that series. I'm on book 3. While I was on book 2, this is when all the downloads started to come through. And the reason why they started to come through is because I was told there are clues that are embedded in that book that would trigger some of the information and help me understand what was coming through the downloads. So before I get into all of this information, I have a couple announcements to make. And I don't skip through the podcast just yet because you're like, I don't need to hear any announcements. It's about this particular podcast and what I'm going to be bringing forward in the, very, very near future. We're going to start this week, actually. I've been really kind of contemplating how to engage you guys in fresh and new ways that are helpful to you, but also fun and exciting for me, that kind of puts a fresh spin on the way I deliver my messages, offer information, and also bring in an element of entertainment. And I want to get you guys more involved. I know that in the last year or so, maybe even more, my videos have not been as consistent other than the podcast. The podcast is always coming out, and my All Signs, for the most part, has been every 2 weeks. But I just haven't been able to put out the same kind of content. And it's just because I've been so busy with so many other things going on in my life that I've struggled to really find the time and the energy, to be fair, to offer that in the way that I used to. But I also feel like that was part of the process because it's time to kind of shake it up and do things in a bit of a new way. So, as of this week, I am going to be offering 2 new segments to this podcast. The weekly podcast episodes that I have with my guests, and in the on the odd occasional time I offer a solo like today, those will continue to be released every Tuesday. However, I'm going to add in 2 more segments each week to the podcast, and they'll be uploaded into all the podcast platforms. They won't just be on YouTube. And the first one that I'm going to offer is that I'm going to start doing a weekly call-in show with you guys. Actually, I'm going to start off with bi-weekly to see how it goes. And if the demand is high, I'll increase it to weekly. But if the demand is kind of, we'll see how it goes, but I may just stick to bi-weekly. But what I want to do is I want to offer you guys a weekly call-in show where you can call in and ask me anything you want, and I'll have the lines open for an hour. And nothing is off the table. You can ask me anything. And I will answer it to the best that I can. And I mean, obviously, I'd love for the questions to be something that is helpful to the audience listening, that it is not strictly personal, although it can be personal, especially if it's going to help others understand things that are going on in their life. So, for instance, when I started to hold my group coaching sessions, especially with the generational trauma program, I noticed that it was really great for everyone to hear other people's perspectives, what they were going through, how they were interpreting things, and be able for me to answer and bounce ideas back. That it became an incredibly informative and new way of, well, I shouldn't say a new way, but just a different way of other people learning how to integrate and assimilate the information that they have. Plus, it awakened things within them, which I thought was the most incredible thing. So we'll see how it goes. But starting Thursday, I'm going to start, I'm going to give you guys the Zoom link. I will mail it out through my newsletter, and I will post the link. I will also post the link below the YouTube live, because obviously I'll be live on YouTube, and then I will upload it everything to the podcast platform. So you'll be able to get the link either when you're in the live chat on YouTube, or I will also email it in advance out in my newsletter. You will enter into the Zoom room and you'll stay in the waiting area. So if you are not allowed in yet, it's just because I've brought someone else in. And once that person's out, I will choose from the list who's going to come in next. So stay in the waiting room until you're called in, and I'll try to fit through as many people as I can for the show. Now, the second show that is going to be added into the podcast, what do we call this? What's it called? Just the word was right there. Why do I always lose my words? Rotation. The rotation. Okay. So the next thing is going to be a little unexpected. I know that I'm going to catch some judgment for this, and that's okay, because your judgment of me does not speak so much about me as it does about you. Just remember that if you get a little judgy. You guys know that I think this spiritual journey is sometimes taken a little too seriously. And oftentimes, and I'm so guilty of this myself, when we're starting to go through our awakening phase and we're practicing all the things and we're going into meditation and we're, really kind of cleaning up all the things in our lives, we can look at other people and start to be like, oh, you should be doing that. And look at you doing that. And you're too negative for me. And you're too toxic for me. And all these kinds of fun things. And I'm guilty of it. I'm totally guilty of it. I've done it myself. And so I am in that group. If you find yourself there right now, don't worry. I've been in your shoes. I am not judging you. I just think that part of this journey is going to that other extreme and then finding a balance of being able to just coexist with everything and knowing how to not let things affect your experience. Well, as a human being on this planet, I have very human desires sometimes that are very 3D, that I take great enjoyment in. Some of those are like to not like, what have I said? Oh, wine. I love my wine. I love my chocolate, but one of the things that I've mentioned once or twice is I love reality TV. I know there's going to be some people that are like, what? She watches that trash? And to be quite honest, yes, I do. I watch that trash. I find it highly entertaining. So there's two things about it. One, I do. I find it absolutely entertaining to witness people who are willing to put their lives on blast, literally, and watch these social experiments play out well, some of them are not social experiments, like Survivor totally is. The original reality show, Real World, off MTV, which was the original reality show, that was total like social experiment. And then there's just people just, filming their lives. And The other reason that I enjoy watching it is because I find it so fascinating to see how people communicate with one another, their relationship dynamics, how they'll change, how they'll say one thing and then like not realizing they're totally contradicting themselves another way, their behavior, how people are willing to behave on TV sometimes, or just how you let your guard down, because we all know we've been there. We've all let our guard down, obviously, in real, especially in family dynamics. You'll see the worst of ourselves come out in family dynamics. But I've been watching, reality TV since the real world came out, since what was that? 1999 or 1998, something like that. And my sisters and I, we would sit in front of that TV and we put on our MTV and we'd be like real world like fanatics, just loving it, watching it, just fascinated by how everything people would just like react with one another. And so there's podcasts out there that recap reality shows and give you their opinions on what's going down and all, because there's, you hear about like, so for instance, the Bravo verse, for any of those Bravo shows. And there's a whole bunch of different podcasts that do it, and they're quite entertaining, some of them. Some of them I think are total trash. Like I just don't find them very interesting, or I don't know, just don't find them interesting. Let's just call it that. Or I find them very annoying. But there is something to learn. Like I find it, just as someone who's very fascinated in how we move through our own healing journeys, how our relationship dynamics evolve, especially if you've tuned into reality shows that are like 10, 15 seasons in, and you get to see how people grow over time and who they were when they first started and who they've become. And you just see that journey unfold, which is a very normal human journey that we all go through. So, in this very long winded way, I thought that I'm going to start a reality recap show that is kind of called like Awakened Revelations. And we're going to dive into the world of reality TV through a very spiritual lens. And I'm going to be taking scenes that I think are important or just even entertaining. And each episode that I air this each week, I'm going to unpack the drama and the dynamics. And we're going to extract some valuable lessons around relationships, communication, personal growth, what's toxic, what's healed, like all that kind of stuff. And then also, because I'm starting to see in these reality shows, like people are awakening to more like of astrology or psychic readings or shamanism, plant medicine journeys, like all of it, meditation, conspiracy theories. I mean, if anyone watches Southern Charm, we all know that Craig loves wearing his tinfoil hat. So I think that if I can use some humor, we don't take ourselves so seriously, this is going to just be, and it's going to be so fun for me to do this and to recap it with you guys and give you my opinions. And then, of course, I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. I just think it could be insightful, entertaining, and who knows, maybe a little enlightening from a completely different perspective than anyone would normally expect from a spiritual show, and probably from me in general. I don't care. So, this is something that I think will be really fun. And I think one of the two shows that I'm going to start with right now that are currently airing are Summer House and The Valley. The Valley is really interesting to me because it's taken a couple people who used to be on Vanderpump Rules from when that, and I've watched that one from the beginning. And I just find it so interesting to see how people, what's so interesting is how unaware people are of themselves, like how they like the lens that they color themselves with, and then how people actually see them. So people love to use a very pink tainted lens, like a rose colored lens to look through or paint their picture very beautifully of who they are, and are really lacking some self-awareness. So we're going to point some of that out, and we're going to say, like, what are the downfalls that we can kind of fall into too? And how does this relate to us? And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it very relatable. I want it to relate to all of us and what we're going through, but really from a very different, fun way. So stay tuned for that, because I'm going to try and record an episode later this week. I just don't know when I'm going to air it. I don't know if I'm going to air it on a weekend or if I'm going to do it on a Monday. So, because Thursdays will be the call-in show, Tuesdays, my regular episode. We'll see. Maybe I can get it out on a Friday. I don't know. We'll see. But that one I want to do, and we'll see how it goes. You guys let me know in the comments if you think I'm crazy, because if you do, great, I'm in the right place, and so are you. Okay, so that is my update there for this podcast and kind of where I want to do it. So you guys are going to be getting up to 3 episodes a week on this podcast. And it's just part of just something I want to play around with. Who knows? Maybe it'll totally bomb and suck and I won't do it after a month. I don't know. We'll see. But I already have some ideas that I want to kind of flex and we'll see where it all takes us. Okay. So, that all being said, I want to talk about this wheel of time or and I'm using that very loosely because I don't even know if that's the exact phrase to use just yet. It's only because of what I was shown in my download in one of my dreams like a few nights ago. So, oh, wait, where are we now? What day are we? No, this is over a week ago. It's like a week and a half, so like 10 days ago. Okay. So, um, I was shown this in my download. I was shown this almost like sandstone not a sculpture, just a block of sandstone. Okay. I don't know if it was a wall or what it was, but in this sandstone, let's call it a wall, there was a wheel or a disc embedded in it. Now, the disc wasn't like this. If you're listening to the audio, I'm just showing like a flat disc up against the wall. It was more like the outside of the disc was kind of just slightly protruding the wall, and the rest was hidden inside the wall, if that makes sense. So it was like on a horizontal plane. And there was scripture in the wall around it. And this is how the downloads, at least from what I remember, how I was shown them coming through while I was dreaming. And so while I was looking at this wheel, this disc in the sandstone, I was being shown how it was used in ancient times and how to use it now. So that's what all of these downloads are kind of all about, right? Like this was the onslaught of information that was coming through. And again, I don't even fully completely understand it just yet as I'm doing this podcast with you, but I think some of the information is going to unpack itself as I share this with you, because that's what I was told would happen. So while this was coming through, I was also understanding that my reading the Wheel of Time book, which the one is called the Great Hunt, that is book 2, and I was getting towards the end of it. And so they said it was opening up access points to the downloads coming through. So that told me there's clues hidden in the Wheel of Time that are, although it's a fictional fantasy series, there's truth, obviously. Like we know there's always going to be some truth embedded in some of this stuff, because fantasy fiction is all about the imagination. It's about all that is possible, right? And of course, if we can imagine it, it exists somewhere. So I was also told that this device or use of time, or how to manipulate time or use time, is connected to the retreat I just had and the portal that I opened to the creation and source energies while everyone was in their journey. So if you, back in March, I talked about how I got this, it was March, how I was, my hands all started moving like rapidly. I couldn't stop them. They were doing all of these different mudras and symbols and everything in the air. And they went for hours, hours. It exhausted me. And I was told that through these hand movements, I was communicating with the 13th dimension and opening up a portal that was using the Sirius Star gateway to access this dimension. So 13th dimension is the dimension of source energy, where all of our original creation comes from. It holds the multiverse, right? It is the multiverse. So it holds all the universes. So it is the multiverse. So I was also told, and I'm gonna be able to go into some details about this because I was given permission. One of the girls who was at the retreat, Anne Marie, she had a full-blown Kundalini awakening at the retreat. And when I say full-blown, I mean full-blown Kundalini awakening. And I will go into that in a little bit to give you the details. Which I spoke to Anne Marie today and she gave me her blessing. She's like, share anything and everything. I want anyone to learn from my journey if there's any way I can help. So thank you, Anne Marie, for doing that. I was told that Anne Marie is connected to this, the ability to work with this device or this time concept or what it is. I don't know if it's an actual device or it's a symbol that represents how to use time or manipulate time. But I was told that it is also related to Kundalini energy. Kundalini energy is important to utilize this time manipulation. And they also said that I know that part of it is tied to my hand movements. Well, I also know that Anne Marie has similar abilities because she was doing the exact same thing on her journey. I watched her. I've got video of her doing all of these hand movements and dancing because she was in full-blown Kundalini. Well, actually, she wasn't in full-blown Kundalini activation just yet, but her Kundalini was activated. So let's see here. Then I was told the medicine frequency without plant medicine is the energy of source. It is the ultimate connection. So, okay. So let's just pause here for a second. So I've had someone on it was Rhiannon. Okay. She was on my show back last summer. I believe I aired in August last year. I don't know the exact podcast number. If anyone out here finds it and you want to drop it in the comments, thank you very much. But basically, she talked about how, you can tap into that medicine frequency without the plant medicine. And I couldn't agree with her more because I now can do that like this. And that medicine frequency is often something I can tap into once I tap into my Kundalini energy. Once I get it flowing and I'm in that's when I'm in that medicine space. Okay. And so this is also tied into accessing this time. Okay, now I'm being called to call it a time continuum or to use the word continuum right now. We'll understand a little bit more why. I kind of have an idea of why. But the source is our ultimate connection, right? It is where all of us come from. And so when we can tap into source connection and we think about what is the medicine frequency is where we experience our healing that comes from very awakened states to truth. And so when we are tapping into the medicine frequency, we are tapping into source energy because it is a natural state of source. To be healed or to be in a healed state is your natural state of being, right? So the natural state of source, all of this will equal your original God's blueprint. So your individual blueprint, how you were created, your original blueprint. And that emerges when you are tapping into this medicine frequency, which again is also a direct connection to source. So what I understand the medicine frequency is held within a space, okay? And you are tapping into that frequency And that space is also flooded with source energy that is feeding it. It's almost like a spring, a wellspring of energy that is feeding this medicine frequency. I don't know how else to best describe it, but that's kind of how I interpret it. And so, hence, this is why miracles can happen, and this is why anything is possible. And they said, the miracles happen because there are no limitations within the medicine frequency because of its connection to source. This is why sickness, illness, or disease is an expression of limitlessness. Now, I asked my cards before I started this podcast. I said, can I just get a card that kind of hints or gives me a clue or a confirmation or something along what I need to share with everyone in the audience? And I'm going to show you the card that flew out of the deck. It was the box. Okay. So I'm holding the card, the box up here for you guys. And the box is the cage, the rules, the norm. We all live to some degree within the confines of the box. It is a limitation. It is a space in which we are comfortable working within. This archetype represents everything that is known, anticipated, and expected. It holds us in place while simultaneously holding us back from our greatest visions. The box is sneaky, insidious, and everywhere, limiting us at the most unconscious levels. It is built of layer upon layer of social constructs and pressures. Breaking through its confines requires awareness, continued effort, and bravery. The box may appear as expectations from parents, a well-paying but heartless job, the pressure to look or behave like others, or simply to stay small. There is a box around you now made of some type of confining thought. What is it? The box shifts and morphs as we grow. This is part of its multi-layered nature. Once you break through one layer, another will present itself to you. Keep going, break through. An exquisite life requires it. So when we think about the box, okay, that we live in, which again, the box is like, they say the box is 3D reality and time. Okay, now this is just coming through right now. So time creates the box, right? So, this is interesting because I never thought about that until I just said it right now. I knew that something was going to come through. So, first of all, time is certainly a limitation imposed upon us in this reality, in that time exists. Time does exist and it doesn't exist, right? Because there is only the now, but in the now, everything is happening, the past, the present, and the future. So, in essence, time does exist, but not in the way that we're used to knowing it. Time is not necessarily linear. Time is non-linear. It can be non-linear, it can be all encompassing, it can all be now and never. So, when we think about this idea of a box and the way to break through that box, and we know that the box is something that we feel very comfortable in because it's all we've ever known, and we've lived here for a really long time. The only way to break through another layer of that box to get further and further out is to be willing to surrender, is willing to go into the unknown, because what's outside of the box is what's unknown. Everything inside the box is what is known. So, for instance, when we do these journeys, right, where we're going into the plant medicine, whether you're doing plant medicine or maybe you're not, just going to tap into the medicine frequency yourself, which everyone is capable of doing. The effectiveness, no matter if you are using plant medicine or not, the effectiveness of that medicine requires your complete surrender to go outside everything that you've known or held around yourself purposely, unconsciously, however way you want to look at it, and surrender it all and be willing to go into all the places that you may not be like maybe unconsciously ready for. So to surrender is the feminine energy. It is the energy of she, her. It is the goddess frequency. That doesn't mean that if you're a man, you don't have access to this. It is just the feminine energy, okay? The feminine energy, this is why I did a whole course on the womb of activation and the goddess codes, because it is so powerful when you can tap into that. Now, when we are talking about this idea of breaking through limitations, Kundalini energy sits at the base of our spine, kind of coiled like a snake, right? And as we awaken or it awakens, it only does so through our willingness to transcend the box of limitations that we have grown to be accustomed to, have found our comfort in, and it is outside everything and anything that we know possible. What we think we know, no matter if it's true or not, will always be a limitation to what else is possible. Remember that. That in itself is a lesson to learn, especially for anyone who's been in the healing journey, the spiritual awakening journey, and you think you're starting to get it all figured out. Trust me, you're not. You're only starting to scratch the surface. The only way you actually are starting to figure it out is when you realize you know nothing. As soon as you realize you really don't know anything, that is when you're going to start tapping into the really juicy stuff. And so oftentimes, especially when we're looking for the truth, we're constantly seeking what is true, what is not true. And we can get caught up in going down all these different conspiracy rabbit holes, all these different places that we think, telling us that we've been lied to, and it's this, and there's like 13 families that rule the world, and there's this and that, and what all this stuff. And I'm not saying it's not true, but the real truth is none of it fucking matters. I will tell you this, none of it matters at all to your life here, your existence here. And you don't realize that until you've exhausted yourself and gone through so many different rabbit holes, only to find yourself spinning your wheels and learning to trust nothing anymore. And you become so darkened and blackened internally from the disgust of the world that you live in, just because of the way everything's being portrayed, because you think you're being lied to purposely and all the time. But really, all that is a construct of reality of this box that you came here to live in to learn how to break free of. And honestly, to break free means to break free of needing to know the truth outside of you. All you need to know is the truth inside of you, and you will break free of everything else in this world. But you will never find that truth if you're looking outside of yourself down all these other conspiracy rabbit holes, to get to that information. How that information helps your life is really individual. Me personally, some of it has helped to some degree, but most of it has been pretty much garbaggio. Okay. Like it has not helped me. What's helped me is me doing all my inner work, me going into my own meditation, me willing to like go well and beyond anything that I've known as possible and tune out all the noise of the outside world and have my own individual experience. And as you do that, you become much stronger in your own field and you learn how to not allow other things outside of you to affect you greatly. But you also appreciate the fact that you chose to come into this world, into this matrix, into this box of reality, okay, this 3D reality, to grow as a spiritual being through the human experience. And that means, yeah, you're going to be lied to. Yeah, you're going to have all these controlling aspects and entities that are trying to utilize power over you. The whole purpose of it all is for you to finally learn how to find your own power so that you can basically flip the bird, okay, and not have to worry about it anymore. You start to really realize that none of it actually matters, and it really doesn't. But you don't realize that as long as you keep putting your energy outward. Okay, so getting a little off topic, I think maybe. Maybe or maybe not. I don't know. But basically, this is tied into the Kundalini energy. And the Kundalini energy is something that was awakened within me first through my own meditation practice using the Vipassana technique way back in 2008. during a meditation session at my yoga teacher's training that I did on my own with one other guy. We were sitting in the yoga studio, and I had a very the strong beginnings of a Kundalini activation and awakening that scared the living daylights out of me. And I shut it off as soon as it got to my heart. And so, but since then, I have also been able to start tapping into it through the use of mushrooms and ayahuasca. And now, because I was so it was so well awakened within me, and I remember it so well because of the music that I play, that I now can also correlate the music of my playlists with the Kundalini activations, because I was dancing and I was moving and I was like loving the flow and the hips were moving and all that good stuff. That now, I mean, I don't need to hear a song, but if I just play a song, it's like it's right there. It's like I can reach out, grab it, it's there, and I'm with it. When I'm in meditation, I can easily tap into it. I can consciously just choose to tap into it whenever I want to. And it's such a powerful force. And the reason why it's so powerful is because it can penetrate you to break free of this box, these limitations. And it puts you in that medicine frequency because of the Kundalini energy. You are now tapping into source energy. So the source energy is allowing you to reach limitless possibilities, right? Because anything's possible. Source can create anything, right? And so when we're in illness, when we're in disease, when we're just feeling very unhealed, it's because we're in a state of limitation, or the body's in a state of limitation, your mind's in a state of limitation, your emotional field's in a state of limitation. Okay. And so all of that kind of comes into play. So when we go back to this moment in time in October last year during the Libra solar eclipse, when I did my plant medicine journey with mushrooms, and I opened that portal that told me I was accessing a vault of knowledge connected to Atlantis. This is what I'm starting to understand. It is connected to time portals. It is connected to Kundalini energy. It is connected to accessing the medicine frequency and traveling, jumping, speeding up time to amplify your healing experience and anything that you want to discover. Okay, so awakening to truth. Now, while I was getting these downloads and unpacking it, I was like, God, I want to say that it's almost like you bypass certain things, but I felt like bypass wasn't the right word, because bypass has a negative connotation in like you're skipping steps. And I didn't get that sense that if you utilize this time continuum, okay, let's call it, you access into this time continuum, you enter into this time continuum of that, again, can expedite your healing, can expedite your awakening, that I didn't feel like you actually skip steps. What it felt like was you almost are collecting the information from these points that you would maybe go through at a much slower rate in your own journey. You collect them all at once, and it's almost like it's collection and unpacking so fast that you almost can't even perceive it. But it's happening. It's happening. So you unpack it all in a much more intense way. Now, I don't know if any of you, I'm sure some of you have read The Wheel of Time. Maybe you've watched the series Wheel of Time that I think there's 2 seasons out right now, and we're waiting for the 3rd season. The TV series does not do the book justice. I'll just tell you that. I think the TV series season 2 is definitely better than season 1, but the books are just way better, and they really do the books disservice as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, that's how it is mostly with everything. The only movies that I thought were like very well done, considering the limitations of what a movie has compared to a book and our own imagination, is Lord of the Rings. I thought was very well done. But anyways, that was my personal opinion. Now, in the Wheel of Time, there's these things called stone portals. And these stone portals are positioned in various parts of the land. And when you access a stone portal and you know how to open it, and you open it using your connection to source, and they say you have to connect to what I believe is almost like the Kundalini energy within you to connect to the source energy. All right. And this is why I think this is all kind of coming through. When you are in that, when you have your Kundalini energy flowing and you're activated and you're feeling so much love and so much sensuality and pleasure and bliss, and like you're just nothing else. It's like everything's just amazing. Like I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like there's no other reason to worry about anything. Like you're so in love with life, with the flow, with just that moment. Like you're just so in love. Um, you travel somewhere faster. And so if there's a destination that you need to get to, you access the stone portal. And what you do is you open up a time portal that you then walk through another. I hesitate to use dimension, although I feel like it has to be, because what you're really doing is you're accessing another timeline that would have been or could have been, but didn't happen. And so it's kind of barren, and there are things in there. I don't know if they're trapped in there or if it's interesting. But you basically can access, and it helps you travel to another destination that then shoots you out through another stone portal into a destination. So basically what it's doing, it's just allowing you to travel from point A to point B in a much faster way than you normally would in this reality, okay, in this dimension. So, but you do it accessing a timeline that could have been or would have been, but isn't. Confusing, maybe. Just let it percolate. I trust you guys. We're going to get there together. Now, I was also told in the downloads that were coming in through this dream that I had over 2 nights. This was two very heavy downloaded nights of dreaming of this time download. Okay. It said that while I was using my hand gestures, like these, symbols and mudras and all of these things that happen when I start allowing the energy to move without any restriction. Okay. This is what, it's like this scripture that happens. And so they said that I wasn't just communicating with other dimensions, I was communicating with this, for lack of a better word, ancient time device or known way of interacting with time through the ancient time periods. So like a concept of time that was possibly put into stone as representation for me to understand. Now, here's what's really interesting. When the stone that I saw, it looked like sandstone. And what's so interesting, like what's a phrase we use, like the sands of time. So I don't, it was sandstone that it was in, like that was very, like the wall, it was made of sandstone. So I don't know if what I saw, because it was very distinct. It was something that looked very ancient, and I don't know if it was of this world. I don't know if it's in this world and buried somewhere. Um, but what I told was Anne Marie is connected to it somehow. And I was told that everyone who came to the retreat will experience an expedited healing, awakening, and discovery through the access of this time continuum that I opened during the retreat, because I did all these hand ceremonies while they were blindfold, like they had their masks on and they were in their journey. And I actually started doing hand gestures over each person. They didn't know that, but I was being guided to do all of these movements that was opening up, I think, like access points for each person. And so they showed me time tunnels. And the time tunnels looked like a wormhole, but it wasn't a wormhole. And through these tunnels. It's weird because it was like a wormhole, but it wasn't a wormhole. And these tunnels had offshoot tunnels off of it. Okay. Which is interesting because now I'm in the third book and they're actually talking about that. This one of the guys, while he's in the dream state of all things, is walking down this tunnel that has all these offshoots of tunnels that go up, down, all this kind of stuff. And I saw this before I even read that part of the book. And so at each offshoot, it was like a nexus point, and I think it was like a choice, I want to say, a possibility or an exit point of, was it an exit point or a point of collection? Because I'm also seeing through these tunnels, it could be something that you travel down, or it's something that something else travels down towards you. Is what I'm getting. It's almost, yeah. So okay, like I'm something like out of a vacuum that comes towards you. So let me just tell you about Anne Marie's experience at the retreat. Anne Marie really needed to open her heart. She was needing to learn how to love, I think, first herself. And when that's not right. She needed to learn how to receive love. She was really good at giving love. She wasn't really good at receiving love. And I knew for her, then we talked about this at the retreat, that in order for her to reach her potential and her psychic skills and abilities, she would never get there until she learned how to receive love. And in order to do this, she had to be willing to open her heart and be a receptor versus a giver. So, a receptor, is that the right word? A receptacle? I'm making up words now on the show. Okay. So, what's a really interesting, Anne Marie booked her ticket at the end, like right around New Year's. Okay. Like right around, I don't know if it was New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I can't remember, but basically she had a dream where she flew towards me, into me, maybe, I don't know, not in that way, but to tell me she was coming to the retreat. She didn't tell me any of this until she was at the retreat. Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but I think it was in January, the first, like, I don't know, it was in All Signs around that time. I I told you guys that someone came to me in my dreams and told me they were coming to the retreat. But I wouldn't say who it was. And she watched that and couldn't believe it because she was showing her mom, oh, this is Nicole. This is who I'm going to retreat. Like, this is, I dreamt about her. And like, and then she's like, as she, she's telling her mom this, all of a sudden I start saying, yeah, I had a dream. One of you guys came to me and you're coming to the retreat. Like, I'm not going to say who. But yeah, it was her. And so there was a reason, like she really needed to be at the retreat. So in her experience, she started like instantly doing all these similar hand movements that I do when I'm in my journey. So a lot of light language through the hand movements comes through. And she was just had this big smile on her face. And she was just like, whatever. Pretty soon she couldn't stay still. And around halfway through the journey point, she's like getting up. She's like, I need to move. And she's like, and at this point too, fresh snow had started to fall, which was just so beautiful because it's purifying, right? It's like a symbol of purity. Well, what does Kundalini energy do? Kundalini energy moves up through us and it starts to purify all of the impurities within us. And so this is why, like, you can receive great healing through utilizing Kundalini energy. course, I don't advise you doing it if you don't know how to use it. Like it's something you need to build up to. So she goes outside barefoot and she's on the deck and the snow's all falling around her. I've got video of her dancing and she's just doing all of these like symbols and hand movements and she's like communicating with whatever she's communicating with. And I was like, oh, she's in it. She's in it. And I was just so excited for her. And she's like, I feel so much love. I've never felt this much love coming through. And she also received, like, you've got to be able to feel all of this to be able to do what you want to do, like your dreams and everything on how you want to interact with others, help others, heal, use your gifts. And so, again, it's very hard. I will say this to all of you. It's very hard to use your intuitive and psychic gifts to assist others if your heart is not fully open. If you are not open to receiving. Okay. And again, that is the feminine principle. That is the feminine principle, is to receive. The masculine is to give. The feminine is to receive. The Kundalini energy is directly related to the goddess energy. Okay. The she, the her. Again, man or woman, you have it within you. It's the feminine energy. It is the darkness. And so when it starts to activate, it activates through the ability. This is why you feel this overwhelming sense of love. Of course, if you're not ready for it, it's fucking scary. Why? Because you're so scared of love. You don't know how to receive it. You don't know even what it is. It's so powerful that it scares the living daylights out of you. My heart was so shut down during my yoga teacher's training when my first Kundalini activation occurred. And the reason I shut it down at the heart was like, oh my God, this is going to like tear me apart. This is going to like blow my head off. Like this is going to kill me. I'm going to have a heart attack. Like all these scary things. It was all the fear that shut it down. And so again, if your heart isn't open to receiving, it's going to be really hard to be able to, one, access this Kundalini energy, but two, be able to utilize your gifts to the highest degree. Why? Because you have to be willing to receive source energy. You need to be willing to be filled with it so that you can then utilize it into the world to help others. You don't utilize it from an empty cup. You need to know how to tap into that because it is powerful energy that allows you to do big work. Again, it's very exhausting on your physical being, which is why you can't sustain it for very long. You're going to need rest periods, and it's something that you work up to. You can actually train yourself to do it for longer periods of time, but it takes practice, it takes dedication, and it takes an open heart. So, okay. Her light language was going crazy. All right. So she has an amazing journey, Kundalini activation, all that. Wonderful. So then the next day we have our integration and all that. And then, it was fun. We were in the hot tub. We're drinking white wine, some beer, some champagne. And I decided to give everyone like psychic readings. Like I was like, let me just hold your hand and I'm just going to like share with you whatever's coming through. And it was so cool. Everyone got very different individual readings. And it was just really fun because whenever I'm in water, it's fun. And I'll be honest, whenever I have one or two glasses of wine, it opens me up. And that's because I'm not thinking, I'm not in my head so much. It allows me to just get out of my own way. And so some people are like, oh, you can't have wine in your body. That's a toxin and all that kind of stuff. It's like, it actually helps me relax and it gets me out of my head. Everyone's different. Some people may not be able to do it. That's okay. Again, we don't judge here. Well, sometimes we do. We're human. Okay. So, the day everyone left, and we're just having our breakfast, we're getting everyone ready to leave. Anne Marie comes to me and she stops me on the stairs. She's like, I need to talk to you. And I said, okay, like, what's going on? She goes, something happened to me last night. So this was 24 hours after her journey. Okay. So it wasn't the night she went to bed. It was the next night. She's like, all of this energy, I was lying in bed and all of this energy started flowing through me and my hands formed fists. She's like, I couldn't open them. She couldn't like open her fingers. She's like, I couldn't open my hands if I tried. They were just locked shut. And all of this energy started moving through me. And it was so strong and so pleasurable that she had a full blown spiritual orgasm. And she's like, what was happening to me? And I'm like, oh, yeah, Kundalini activation, awakening. Like, you just got the full Monty. You got the special delivery of awakenings there. And so she like has been ever since. I just talked to her today, and what are we now? We're about 3 weeks after the retreat, right? About almost maybe 2.5 weeks. And she said she's never felt more connected. She said it was the most life transformative experience of her life. She's so connected to everything around her, especially nature. The way the birds, the butterflies, the animals are reacting to her, coming up to her, speaking to her during the aurora borealis. She got a message. She was up in Canada where she lives, and she was on the Friday night during the aurora. She was communicating with one of the light. She was with the light, I guess, that was coming through. She was communicating with it, and she was getting all these messages. And the light gave her a message that I had information to share with her about her abilities. And I said, well, yes, I do, because you have access to this time continuum, is what I was told in my download. And part of the reason is because you've activated your Kundalini energy. And so it's a lot easier for you to access this time continuum, which speeds up your healing journey or your awakening journey. And it's something that I believe that she'll be able to do for others once she starts to learn to master it for herself. And so what I wrote here too, I got another download about it. It says it guides you to what you need most, the potency of your greatest potential. Unboxed, you get to the source of the issue and the solution all at once. So when you are accessing this medicine frequency, which you do not need plant medicine to do, okay? It is a medicine frequency that exists whether you're on plant medicine or not. Plant medicine can help you get there, but you certainly don't need it to get there. And it is a frequency that is, I believe, a wellspring fed by source energy itself. Okay, so it is fed through the wellspring of source energy. And what it does is the what I'm understanding is in ancient times or ancient civilizations understood how to enter into this time continuum, um, which may have been also like a slipstream of consciousness, okay, that allows you to travel at much faster speeds to get to your issue and your solution. So the problem and the solution all at the same time, and you get to unpack it and heal it all together. And so it's not like you have to go through this lengthy journey. And I'm not saying that there isn't benefit to that, because some of that we have to do. The journey is necessary. It's part of the process, but not always. Especially if you've been doing a lot of your work already, that you can start to speed up the process. We understand this, that you can literally quantum leap, quantum jump. And so what I was being shown is that through accessing this portal or this time continuum or utilizing this way, it's like you enter into a space that allows you to go from point A to point B at a much faster speed, where you are dealing with the issue and the solution all at once. And that can be something that is regard to your healing. It can be more of your awakening. It could just be about you understanding information. It could be the question and the answer all at the same time. This is why, like, you can have like these aha moments that just come out of the blue, right? It's like where a miracle happens and there's spontaneous healing. It's something about utilizing you can access this through activating your Kundalini energy, being in that flow, and intentionally entering into this time continuum that I have to say you cannot enter with the purpose of seeking. I know that's going to sound a little backwards. They're like, well, what's the point? Like, that's where I'm going. No, you cannot go into it with an expectation. You cannot go into it seeking. You have to go into it fully surrendered. You have to go into it with zero expectation. You enter it just for the joy of entering the medicine frequency. And that's it. And you allow all of the magic to do its work in whatever way that it's meant to. And you will find your way into it, not by seeking, but by allowing it to find you. Okay. It's not something that you find yourself. It's something that you find yourself in when you've surrendered completely. So there's, there is this ability that, okay, so now what I want to talk about is the aurora borealis. I believe that we are entering into a very heightened period of time on this planet that is allowing us to access information, because the solar energies, light is information, right? Light packets hold information. And so all of these light packets were just sent during the solar wind into our Earth, creating this magnificent display of light and magic. Because that looks like magic when it's happening. It's so cool. I mean, I've seen it. Oh, I got to tell you the story. I promise I tell you guys my funny story. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. Um, this magic of how the particles interact when the sun particles hit our atmosphere in the earth, and there's an electric magnetic charge. And so when we hear that, we hear talk about the different polarities of the masculine and the feminine, right? And it's like there's this dance of energies, and the magic starts to happen. And so that space between the polarities, right? That space of surrender is where, like, that is where the dark matter is at its strongest. And so when we get blasted like we just did and are continuing to, because the sun seems to be giving off a lot of these CMEs, these coronal mass ejections, that, you know, when they hit the solar winds, if it's directed towards Earth, yeah, we're going to receive it. But I'm getting this sense that we're going to be going through a deepened state of awakening because of the information that came through the light particles that were sent here, and that it's got very, very profoundly intense possibilities that are are just waiting to be unpacked by us, if we're willing to. The energies were so strong that from Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, and even into yesterday, it wasn't so bad today for me. I was so thirsty. I I needed a minimum of 1.5 gallons of water a day just to like get by, but it never felt like it was enough. Never felt like I could quench my thirst. Like I just like, oh my God, I just want to like sit here and just chug and chug and chug and chug and chug. And I felt like obviously you need to really hydrate when we have these solar storms hitting our Earth, because it's such high energy moving through us. We need to keep replenishing the water to help refresh and continuously charge us, literally charge us, as this light is hitting us. But I'll tell you, I woke up hung over, like from an aurora borealis. Literally, I had no alcohol on Saturday or Saturday night, because obviously I was driving for like 5.5, 6 hours almost that night. So there's no way I could have had any alcohol. And I got home 1:30, went to bed at 2 in the morning. And I remember waking up at 7 or 8. And I just was like, oh my God, there's no way. I physically felt like even if my life depended on, I don't know if I could get out of bed. Like I was just like, I cannot move. I stayed in bed until 1 p.m. with my blinds, my blackout blinds pulled. I was like, it didn't help that it was raining and thunderstorming out here in Denver. I was like, oh, there's no reason to get out of bed right now because I love the sound of rain and I love the sound of thunder. But it was like, it was so drastic. It's so not like me. I'm more I'm a morning person. I want to get up and I want to do things. I don't like wasting my day in bed. I love a good sleep in every now and then, but not till 1 p.m. And so yeah, and I know Anne Marie told me that she was with it on Friday night and she felt the same thing on Saturday. Like just like coma the next day, like couldn't move. So let me know in the comments if you guys experienced that during the aurora borealis, for any of you who actually went out and you witnessed it and you stayed out in it, because it was wild. It was so wild to see. And so my little story of the first time I ever saw the aurora borealis was up in Canada where I used to live. And one night I was driving home from the nightclub and I had a couple drinks. I'm not gonna lie. And so I was driving home. It was probably like 3 in the morning. And at the time I was living with my parents. And this is probably my early 20s. And I was 5 minutes from home. Okay. And where my parents live is there's a lot of fields, open fields, back roads, like it's pure country. And I was driving at a level where I was high enough to see across a large, vast of the country land. And as I'm driving, I noticed that there's this green glow coming out of the field, like in the distance. And I'm just like, whoa, like maybe that's just something, I don't know what that is. And as I kept driving, it got brighter and brighter. And I'm just like, oh my God, aliens have landed in the fields of Caledon East, and I am going to witness it. And I was like, yes, my first UFO sighting. And I was just so excited. And I'm like, oh my God, aliens are here. Aliens are here. And it only took about a minute as I was driving and looking at it, going, no, Nicole, that's the aurora borealis. That is not an alien or a UFO that's landed in the fields. So yeah, I felt really stupid for a second after that. But yeah, that was my first time seeing the aurora borealis during the summer in Canada. So that was fun. And anyways, what I saw this time around was way more spectacular. I got to see, if you haven't seen the photos, just go to my community on my YouTube page or go to my Instagram. But it's like the colors were, I got to see the really bright green, the pink and the purple all at the same time, which was so cool, but it did not last long. I am so glad I went when I did, because within 15 minutes it started to dissolve and dissipate, and like my pictures were getting less and less bright. And then the next thing I know, it was kind of basically gone. And so, I didn't get to really stay out there for very long, but it was literally like watching magic in the sky. Just seeing the way it looked very similar to when I was in my journeys, when I'm physically looking at this dimension and I can see other dimensions starting to open up into this one. And it's got a little bit of a cloudy feel to it. It's almost like because it's, it's plasma, right? The aurora borealis is plasma. So it's like, it's kind of got that plasma like energy to it. So, I'm going to continue unpacking this further, but I wanted to share this information with you because I don't know if it's awakening anything within you. If you've got some information that you want to share, you want to drop in the comments, please do share with all of us. I'd love to hear from you. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be getting more information, but like it's so much information, there's no way I could pack it into one podcast episode. So this will be like a part one. And if there's ever a part two, I'll add it in down the road. I will say that there was a Kundalini activation at the first retreat, and then there was a Kundalini activation at this one. I don't know if anyone's feeling very called to, if you've been feeling called to one of my retreats. The energy is very potent. I take a lot of care and time, and I put a lot of attention to detail into how the retreat unfolds so that you can access the most potential that is within you during that journey. Um, one of the things that one of the other girls who was there said to me, I asked her, and I've got it on video, but I'm not going to play it right now. Um, we were taking a walk outside, and I asked her, I said, like, what was the most unexpected thing about this retreat for you? And she's like, honestly. And I said, yeah, I want you to be honest. I don't want you to like blow smoke up my butt, like, and she said, how detailed everything is. She's like, she goes, I knew, you were spiritual and all this kind of stuff, but like your modules, the information you gave us, the exercises, the attention to detail, the attention to everything you put in here, to the logos on your face, to the candles that you made, to the scents that you use. She's like, I've been to so many retreats. She goes, no one has ever given this much detail or put this much effort into the experience for someone. And so I was like, oh, that's good because that's what I like love. So one of the things that I always aim to do with my work is I started off as a massage therapist and I worked a lot of those years in the spa industry. And in the spa industry, you pay a lot of money, not because you're going to get a better massage. Usually it's because you're going to get a better experience. And it just so happened that I was a pretty damn good massage therapist that worked in a spa where you're going to also get a pretty damn good experience. So I will say anyone who got me as a massage therapist really freaking lucked out. But for me, I learned how important to create the experience. You got to go through all the details, like an event planner, so to speak, but more for like retreat healing kind of thing. Right. And so my goal is for any of you that are coming to the retreat this September is I want you, first of all, to feel so loved the entire time from the moment you step through those doors to the moment you leave. And I don't really want it to end when you leave, which is why you get to take home a really cool gift with you that unpacks itself as over time. Um, but it's so important to me that not only do you feel so loved, but you really understand how valued you are because that helps you feel safe enough um, to let go, to be brave enough to share, be vulnerable, to surrender. And these are all such key elements. Like I said, like you cannot access this space by seeking it. You have to surrender and let go. That is the only way. You do not get to dictate how it's going to unfold. You can go in with a very well crafted intention, which I help everyone do at each retreat. And we work very hard at getting it just right for you because that intention is your North Star. But how you get there, I cannot predict it. You cannot predict it. No one knows. You have to surrender to the medicine frequency. And yes, the plant medicine there, but also just the medicine frequency in general. You have to be willing to be like torn apart, pulled apart, put back together in different places. It's like when in my second ayahuasca journey, before I went into that wormhole, I was watching Mother Ayahuasca literally pull me apart, and she was showing me like, we're gonna completely disassemble you, and I'm gonna not so much put me back together, but it was almost like she disassembled me so that she could work through me better. And it's really amazing because when you finally just like, yeah, just have your way, just go for it, like that takes a certain amount of trust. You've got to trust the energy that you're working with. You've got to trust that you're safe. You've got to trust that you're being guided at the highest level. And the way that you get there is from the moment you enter those doors, I am making sure that you feel that love, that you feel that security, that you feel the attention to detail so that you don't have to focus on the details. I do that for you so that you don't have to. And it's all about letting go from the moment you step through. And so I just want to say that if you've been feeling called, because I know some of you've messaged me, you've sent me emails. If you're feeling called, this is the retreat to come to. Because again, like I said, I really don't know when the next one's going to be. And I'm not just saying that to say it. I really don't. I cannot predict that one right now. There's too many unknown factors that are ahead of me for me to be able to even speculate at this point. So, um, I'm going to finally announce who's doing the retreat with me. And it is none other than one of my best friends, Erica. Erica Martino now, but you might know her as Erica Cunningham. Many of you have had psychic readings from her. She is one of the most psychic people I know, and she's extremely intuitive, and she knows how to work with healing energies so well herself. She's great at clearing energies, bringing in new energies, and one of her gifts is teaching people how to activate their psychic abilities as well, to how to tap in. So Erica will be joining me at the next retreat, and we're going to be planning some extra special exercises, new things for you guys to be partaking in and doing. And she's also going to be bringing in her element during the journeys to facilitate a higher frequency space for you guys to journey through, on top of what I'll already be doing. So I'm actually going to be bringing Erica on the podcast. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a call-in show on a Tuesday night, probably after the full moon with Mary, which is next week. So in 2 weeks, Erica will be on the show and she will offer psychic readings, not that you have to do in the live chat like we've always done, where you type in your question in the chat. No, you're going to get to enter into the Zoom room, and we're going to bring you in one at a time for you to get a live reading with her, and see what comes through. So it's going to be really exciting. This retreat, I'm really going to give it my all, because not that I don't always give it my all, but I'm going to give it my extra all. I mean, it's like you guys, every day you go on your journey and you're going through your own healing, you're becoming a different version of yourself, a better version of yourself, which means you're just bringing more and more to the table every day. Right. And so that's what I plan to do for this next retreat. If you're thinking of coming, tickets are already selling. So if you want to book a private room, I highly suggest you book soon. All you need is a deposit to put it down, and we can work out monthly payments, or we can do the 3 payment plan, as long as your money is in before September 1st. All right. So tickets are now on sale. I'm leaving the link in the description below for you to come. And I'll be sharing more details with that. And what else? What else? What else? What else? I think that is it. So let me know your thoughts. Not that it's going to change my direction, because I'm still going to do it because I want to. But let me know your thoughts on the reality thing. And also, what I would actually really like more than anything, this I actually do want to know. um, I do want to know if there are particular shows that you would really like me to offer insight into. Because I know, listen, I know there's some of you out there that are so into the reality shows, and you're like, I can't admit it. I'm supposed to be this spiritual journey on this spiritual journey, and I just kind of got to be a closet reality TV show watcher. Well, I am your permission slip to say, screw it, I'm joining Nicole and we're all going to have fun together. And even if you don't watch reality TV, it may be fun just to like listen in on some 3D shit and our spiritual perspectives on it, and how we can learn and understand and grow from all of this stuff, because there's going to be some actually really helpful stuff I've seen some really cool stuff and I'm like, wow, that was really big of that person. Like, they really nailed that one. And then there's going to be stuff that it's like, woo, this is what we stay away from. This is what a red flag looks like, spiritually, romantically, friendship wise, who knows, whatever it is. So we're going to look into all of that. I'm really excited. But just so you know, this Thursday, I'm going to be doing my first live call in, and I'm going to do it at 12 p.m. Mountain Time, so 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be doing it during the day so that for those of you who are in Europe, you can also call in and be part of the show. Because I just want to give it a little more access to more of you. And I think that will I think that'll be better for just you guys in general. So 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific time this Thursday, I'll be doing a live call. You can ask me anything you want that you need insight into, you need help with, coaching, or you're just got a plain old question about something that you're wondering my take on it. Or if I have any information about it, I'll let you know. And we'll just make it fun. Okay, fun. Fun is the key word. So guys, I love you so much. Have an incredible Tuesday. And I'll see you guys on Thursday for the first call-in show. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.